Hello today, and let's start our thing together and learn about something that is pretty much a topic that a lot of people don't know, and it's the portrayal representation of disabilities. So let's talk about me. Why I chose this topic is because there's a lot of content and information about this that a lot of people don't get or misunderstand. So when they don't understand this topic, people relating to disabilities, is that they aren't know what to do or what to say or how to interact with these people with disabilities. And they might do something that might seem about like they're insulting them or they're making them feel like an outcast when they just simply don't understand. So this is pretty much about to tell you how to understand what we are and that we're not just someone that's an outcast or we can't aren't capable of doing what you can do. It just takes a little bit more or it takes us a different step for us to be part of you. In society, I have disabilities and I have encountered some things like this where people treating me really differently because they didn't understand me or they just didn't understand how to handle me, if that makes sense. So there's times where I have a speech disorder, and I know it's hard to tell right now, but that's because of rigorous times of therapy. So they would always talk to me very slow and but very loud as if I was also deaf. I wasn't deaf. I could understand the person, but I just couldn't speak. I had trouble speaking. So for me, it was kind of like, hey, why don't they understand me? I don't know why they just can't treat me as like a normal person. Sure, I struggle, but doesn't mean I'm like different from them. So we our personalities don't change or anything. We're still our honest self in the end of the day. So that's my goal to show that we're just like you. We just need a little push sometimes. So the definition of disabilities is a physical, mental, cognitive, or a developmental condition that impairs, interferes with, or limits a person's ability to engage in certain tasks or actions or participate in typical day activities and interactions. For me, with someone with disabilities, I like to use the word special need instead because it doesn't sound like I'm helpless. Because when you say special need, it sounds like I need something a little special to get me through the day. It's kind of like maybe your special need would be every morning you need a bowl of cereal. For whatever reason, a bowl of cereal makes your day even better. Or people who are morning people sometimes will go, I need my coffee first before I start the morning because that's their special need. They can't start a good morning without coffee. So that's kind of what I see it as. So when I say I'm a person with special needs, it just means I'm trying to make it sound insulting. It just means that I need that little special need to make my day better. 'Cause there's different types of abilities. There's physical, sensory, developmental, cognitive, and psychological. There's obvious ones that blind, deaf, amputees, depression, bipolar, PTSD, autism, and then of course speech disorders. I am on somewhat on autism spectrum, um, and then they can be it's there. But again, I've been going through many years of therapy to get to where I am. The whole generalization of disabilities in pop culture is that we make about 20%, or to be more technical, 56.7 million of the population. It can be really not really presented well in film, television, books, theater, or maybe through maybe social media when we post something. Uh, and sometimes these are like the easiest platforms to bring awareness and influence millions. So when they portrayed as incorrectly, the actors seem like they only research the symptoms or research how they typically act, which is not the case. We don't act just one way. There's different variations that happen. So they don't really understand, and so their own acting is only good as what they perceive from their research. So here's some really negative stereotypes about us. There's villains like we're always dangerous, we're out of control, we don't know what to do, we're always trying to act the victim, we can be angry but are always unable to help ourselves. Um, we're the objects of sympathy and fear, apparently not worthy of love or friendships. We don't have any redeeming qualities. We're unable to contribute to society. And we'll do anything to be rid of a disability, which is not true. I have so many disabilities, but I don't complain about them. I don't want to get rid of them because I think it's a strength of mine. Because I can look at a whole different picture and see it as a whole different my own perception than from someone else that maybe they did not see. So there's areas that we strive stronger than say you would. So there's a few good films that really did good. They didn't have these like, oh, the bad that they don't need it. Here's the positives that really overcome their disability and do good, which is like me or anyone else like me who got through their disabilities. We did good. So they're Daredevil. I mean, that was a great show. He was a blind. He's blind and he fights crime. He's a big good guy. He didn't let the disability of him being blind get to him. He kind of just let it be himself and go through the day. He didn't complain. He just did his job as a lawyer and a superhero. There's Nemo who didn't give up. He had a he didn't had a smaller friend than the other. You should know this, and so forth. Their main disability was never a huge part of the story. So Professor X is in a wheelchair, but they don't make a whole dramatic thing about it. It the good ones strive for when where they struggle, other than but they overcome it. And out of this end of this piece, do you feel inspired? Like, does it does it bring more light to you? So other popular titles, and here's my question to you: do you think they are done in a positive or negative way? Avatar, the paraplegic, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, physical and deaf, many versions, Phantom of the Opera, book, film, and theater, the facial disfigurement, Percy Jackson, ADHD and dyslexia, Forrest Gump, physical and intellectual, and The Big Bang Theory, children. I will give you a couple minutes to process to maybe think of pick one and decide. I'll give my personal opinion on one of them. I think Percy Jackson is a really good positive one. He uses his dyslexia as a power, as a strength that he can read Greek words from anyone else that are like an English person or ancient Greek. So he could look at ancient Greek writings and then have it can read it fully as if it was English, which is really cool. And he uses it as a huge hero, and he saves the gods most of the time. And what I find it really negative is the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It shows it as a outcast. He's an outcast. They don't like him. He thinks he's this monster and whatever. It's not the case. He's very sweet and he's very kind. So that's done in a very negative way. So how can you help? What can we do, or what can you do to bring this? So volunteer nonprofits such as local autism chapters and horseback therapy, but best buddies. There is very little that goes on here. You become friends with and include people with their disabilities and activities, provide better job opportunities with disabilities. Request the studios provide more opportunities for people with disabilities. Here are my citations, and just the fact that I had the speeches starter beginning of the info I gave you less credible. We should look more into changing the world for people with disabilities, meaning that we should bring more awareness that they're not just an outcast, they're not just these victims. They're not. They just want to live their lives in a normal society and not think of as looked down upon that they can't do anything for themselves. Thank you.